Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper. The first article is related to the India-United States ties. Now, the Prime Minister Modi in his address to the US Congress joint session, he has used certain words and let us try to understand the significance of these words. What he described is a new symphony in play, and India-US relations have moved beyond the hesitations of the history, and the strong and prosperous India is in the best interests of the United States of America. So these are the various statements we have used. If you carefully observe over here, the new symphony is clearly explained over here by the Nirupama Rao. The US and India relationship, it is driven by the political and economic heft and geopolitical and security dimensions of friendship. So in this, the political and economic heft, we can see with growing trade and investments between these two countries, and geopolitical dimensions, you can observe the freedom of navigation and free skies which free overflight which the US and India are stressing for over the South China Sea. And the second thing is, US is also pushing India's membership into NSG. And the India-US defense ties, they have reached to the next level where India is now recognized as a major defense partner. It means a license-free technology transfers can happen. The relationship is also changing from buyer-seller relationship to more of co-production and also the co-development level. And again, when Vajpayee was the Prime Minister, he considered India and US as the natural allies. What are the factors which makes them the natural allies? So they run on the democracy, and they are the two vibrant democracies of the world. And the second thing is, the United States and India, so they not only be vibrant democracies, they have a sound track record of the human rights protection, the secular values in the society. So in this context, we can classify these relationships into different dimensions. One is the defense relationships. In 2005, India-USA Framework Defense Cooperation Agreement has come into existence. And in 2015, it was revived for another 10 years. And now, in the last visit of the Defense Secretary, Ashton Carter, Logistics Exchange Memorandum of Agreement was signed, was in principle agreed. Now today, we are signing that particular agreement. And with regard to civil nuclear cooperation, though it has come into existence a decade back, so the commercial operations or engagements did not happen till date. So in this present visit of the Prime Minister, it is agreed that the Westinghouse is going to establish 6 nuclear reactors in India. And the NSG message is very clear, that is US is backing the India's entry into this particular, nuclear cartel. And added to that, the presidents and prime ministers, though they change in both the countries, the continuity of the relationship is growing. So it is aptly described by the President Obama as the defining partnership for this 21st century. And another thing is, if you come to the HFCs or climate change talks, so both the countries are interested in cooperating with each other with regard to clean development or clean energy research is concerned. Now, with regard to Montreal Protocol, US was requesting India to consider HFCs under the Montreal Protocol rather than the climate change negotiations. India agreed to consider hydrofluorocarbons under Montreal Protocol. All these are the various developments which shows the strengthening relationships. Added to that, the maritime cooperation and information exchange and technology transfers, all these show a positive dimension. Now coming to preparing cities for high water. If you recollect the Chennai floods, now that is going to be the future of Indian cities. There is an unplanned growth, and UN Habitat, it estimates that by 2030, Urban areas, they constitute the 40% of our GDP. It shows that how vulnerable our economic assets based in urban areas are. So in this context, the major challenges are lack of urban planning, and next, poor infrastructure facilities, and then occupation or encroachment of wetlands, and also these floodplains of the rivers. And another thing is the lack of social security mechanisms, rapid response systems, and lack of water harvesting systems in the urban areas. So all these things need to be of immediate attention to the government. Now coming to letting our films fly, what is the context of this? Now, Udta Punjab is the movie which was went into the scissors of the censor board. So in this case, the film certification, or the Central Board of Film Certification, it is not just an agency for film certification, but it also censors the movies in India. So in this case, we can say the CBFC, it is a competent authority declared under the Indian Cinematography Act, which has come into existence in 1952. So the section 5B of the Act, what it says is, a competent authority can stop the exhibition of a movie if it is against the morality, decency, security, integrity of the nation, or again it is contempt, against the contempt, and also it is leading to damaging of the relations of India with a foreign country or causing defamation. So next, 5B subclause 2, it says that the center can give directions to the states. The center can give directions to the competent authority with regard to the screening of films. The states also impose the restrictions on the screening of the films on the conditions of law and order. So because of this, the Indian film is subjected to too many regulations, and the terms of integrity, morality, decency, these are not defined under 5B. So in this case, the Indian cinema is facing many restrictions which are violating the freedom of speech and expression and freedom of the viewer to watch and make informed choices. So that is the reason why India Cinematography Act need to be amended. Now coming to Brexit. So now European Union, so now it consists of around 28 countries, if I am not wrong. So more Eastern European countries which are not economically strong also became the part of European Union. So in this case, what are the Brexit advantages and disadvantages to the Britain? That is what we need to understand. The first one is the employment. So as more and more immigrants from the Eastern Europe enters into UK, then employment opportunities for the natives will decrease. On the other hand, it is argued that these people will add to the value of the economy and their existence will create more jobs in UK. And next is with regard to London as financial hub. So the proposers of the Brexit says the London is already established and UK moving out of from European Union will not damage the preeminence of London. So now on the other hand, opposers of the Brexit, what they say is the London will lose its preeminence as a financial hub of Europe. The third is trade. So 40% of the UK's trade with European Union, it will get affected if there is Brexit. So on the other hand, supporters say that UK can make agreements with the independent countries. And next is coming to the issue of social security. So the immigrants from Eastern European countries, they will increase the burden on United Kingdom's economy. So all out of this, it will damage not just the European Union economy, but it will have a wider implications for the global economy. The reason is, so it is like this, it is once the UK exits, then one of the important major partner has been left out of the European Union, and the consolidation of the Europe, bringing in the synergies between the economies will be a failure. And as the demand in the European Union decreases, the global markets which are dependent on the European economy are also going to suffer. Now coming to the Nilgai. Now Nilgai, these are damaging the crops in Bihar, Himachal Pradesh, etc. So in this case, Wildlife Protection Act 1972. So it is meant to protect the various animals. So there are various schedules. The schedule 1, these animals cannot be disturbed by anyone. The schedule 2, 3, 4 animals, they can be declared as vermins if they are damaging or threatening the populations. So in this case, the Nilgai is about to declared as a vermin along with this wild pig and rhesus macaque. So in this context, this move is opposed by National Board for Wildlife and also the environmental activists. Now coming to the Prime Minister's visit to Mexico, India wants to enter into NSG. Hardliners such as Switzerland and Mexico, these are opposing the move. And again, China is also opposing because India is not a signatory. In this context, we need to understand that India's nuclear track record is foolproof. And the second thing is, the Brazil also entered into NSG, and at the time of its entry, it was not the signatory of NPT. And the other thing is, the Mexico and Switzerland, these countries agreed to support India. Only the bloc now is China, which is not supporting India because it did not sign the NPT, or it wants to bring the Pakistan on parity with India. It wants to establish nuclear parity with Pakistan. If it is given to India, it also shall be given to Pakistan. That's what is the argument. Now coming to the AIDS threat by 2030. A 5-point strategy was brought in to contain the AIDS threat. The first one is fast track approach or fast track target. Next, 90% of the people diagnosed with HIV virus, they shall be provided with a treatment. And TRIPS flexibilities for the supply of the cheap drugs have to be maintained. And creation of sensitive society towards the HIV AIDS patient. And finally, bringing in global solidarity. These are the 5 points which are being discussed, or 5-point strategy that is discussed to achieve or to end the AIDS threat by 2030. And coming to the road accidents, in India, more than any disease, the road accidents is taking the more number of victims. 1.46 lakh lives are being damaged because of the road accidents. So most of these people are 15 to 34 age group. And then the number of accidents, if you see, they are around 5 lakh. It means that the total number of accidents have increased by 2.5%. Total number of deaths increased by 5%. So most of these accidents are occurring in urban areas, and the poor infrastructure of the roads and also negligence of the drivers are the major reasons. In this context, an Union Transport Ministry has recommended for setting up of National Road Safety and Traffic Management Board, which can provide for the necessary guidelines on improving the road safety. So these are the important articles. Today, the Indian Express did not upload their newspaper on time. I had the class at 8 o'clock. That's the reason why I was unable to do that. So, thank you very much and all the best.